The title God, Pain, and the Purpose of Suffering C.S. Lewis suggests a deep and thought-provoking exploration of one of life's hardest questions: why does a loving God allow pain and suffering? Drawing from the timeless wisdom of C.S. Lewis, this topic likely examines suffering not as meaningless tragedy, but as a powerful tool God uses to shape character, strengthen faith, and draw people closer to Him. Pain as God. Attention getter is one of the most profound insights C.S. Lewis offers in understanding the role of suffering. In times of comfort, people often drift into complacency, distracted by daily routines, achievements, and pleasures. These moments, while enjoyable, can sometimes dull our awareness of God's presence and diminish our dependence on Him. However, when pain strikes, whether through loss, failure, illness, or heartbreak, it has a way of breaking through the noise of life and confronting us with the reality of our fragility. Suffering interrupts our comfort zone and forces us to ask deeper questions about meaning, purpose, and faith. Lewis famously described pain as God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world, implying that it is often in hardship that our hearts are most receptive to His voice. When joy is present, we may assume all is well and attribute our blessings to our own efforts. But when suffering arrives, it strips away illusions of control and security, leaving us face with our need for divine help. This awakening is not meant to crush us, but to open our eyes to truths we may have ignored. Pain directs our focus toward God in a way that success and comfort rarely do. It can lead to deeper prayer, renewed faith, and a more intimate relationship with the Creator. In this way, pain becomes a form of mercy disguised in hardship, a spiritual alarm clock calling us back to what truly matters. While suffering is never pleasant, it often carries the hidden gift of awakening, leading us to see life, relationships, and God's love with fresh clarity. Through this lens, pain becomes not just an affliction, but an invitation to listen, to draw near, and to rediscover the one who sustains us through every storm. Suffering shapes character in ways that comfort never could. While ease and pleasure may bring temporary happiness, they rarely cultivate the inner strength needed to endure life's challenges. Trials, on the other hand, act as a refining process, much like fire purifies gold. When we face difficulties, whether through loss, rejection, failure, or personal struggle, we are given the opportunity to grow in patience, humility, and perseverance. These virtues are not developed in moments of comfort. They are forged in seasons of testing. Suffering challenges our natural instincts toward self-centeredness and pride, pushing us to become more compassionate and understanding toward others who are hurting. It strips away shallow values, revealing what truly matters in life, and deepens our capacity for empathy and grace. Through hardship, we also learn the discipline of endurance, continuing forward even when the path is steep and the outcome uncertain. Every struggle we overcome leaves us stronger, not because the pain itself is good, but because God uses it as a tool to mold us into better versions of ourselves. Trials can also expose hidden weaknesses in our character, giving us the chance to confront and address them with God's help. Over time, the lessons learned through suffering create a deeper resilience, a grounded faith, and a heart that is more attuned to God's purposes. In this way, suffering becomes more than a burden, it becomes a teacher. We begin to see that God's goal is not merely to make us comfortable, but to make us complete. As we embrace the refining work that trials bring, we discover that the pain we once dreaded can become the very means by which God shapes us into people of wisdom, strength, and enduring faith. Pain reveals our dependence on God by dismantling the illusion that we can manage life entirely on our own. In times of success and ease, it is tempting to believe that our strength, intelligence, and resources are enough to carry us through. We make plans, set goals, and often attribute our achievements solely to our own efforts. Yet, when hardship strikes, whether through illness, loss, financial struggle, or unexpected setbacks, we quickly realize the limits of our own abilities. These moments of vulnerability strip away the pride of self-sufficiency and force us to confront the truth that we are not in control. It is in such seasons that the human heart turns upward, recognizing that true help and lasting hope come from God alone. This dependence is not a sign of weakness but of wisdom, for acknowledging our need for God aligns us with the reality of His sovereignty and our reliance on His grace. Pain becomes the catalyst that pushes us to pray more earnestly, trust more deeply, and lean on His promises rather than our own understanding. It reminds us that our breath, our strength, and even the next moment of life are gifts from Him. Through trials, we learn that our relationship with God is not just an occasional comfort, but the foundation of our endurance. Dependence on Him becomes a lifeline, giving us strength to persevere and peace in the midst of uncertainty. As we walk through suffering with our eyes fixed on God, we discover that His presence is more sustaining than any earthly resource. In the end, pain teaches us a profound truth. Our lives are safest, strongest, and most meaningful when they are anchored not in ourselves, but in the unshakable hands of the One who holds all things together. God redeems pain for greater good by transforming what was meant for harm into a source of blessing, growth, and purpose. While suffering itself is never pleasant, it can become a powerful tool in God's hands to shape our lives in ways we could not have imagined. Often, in the midst of hardship, it is difficult to see any possible good that could come from it. We may feel overwhelmed, questioning why we must endure such trials. Yet, as time passes and God's plan unfolds, we begin to notice how He weaves even the darkest moments into a larger story of redemption. The Bible is filled with examples of this truth. Joseph, who was betrayed by his brothers and sold into slavery, later realized that God used his suffering to save many lives. In our own lives, pain can deepen our faith, expand our compassion, and equip us to help others facing similar struggles. It can shift our priorities, turning our focus from temporary concerns toward eternal values. What once seemed like a crushing burden can become the very testimony that inspires and encourages others. God's ability to redeem pain also shows that nothing in our lives is wasted. Every tear, every setback, and every moment of loss can be repurposed for His glory and our ultimate good. This redemption often changes us from the inside out, helping us emerge from trials with greater resilience, gratitude, and clarity about our life's mission. In trusting God with our pain, we find that suffering does not have the final word. He does. And His word brings hope, restoration, and meaning even from the most broken circumstances, proving that in His hands our deepest wounds can become the foundation for our greatest victories. Pain gives us an eternal perspective by reminding us that this life, with all its trials and losses, is not the final chapter. In moments of suffering, our hearts naturally long for relief, justice, and restoration, desires that point us toward a reality beyond this world. The Bible tells us that our lives on earth are like a vapor, here for a moment and then gone, but eternity with God is everlasting. When we experience pain, it strips away the illusion that this world can fully satisfy us. Comforts, possessions, and even human relationships, while precious, are temporary. Suffering forces us to look beyond what is seen and to anchor our hope in what is unseen, the promise of eternal life where there will be no more pain, sorrow, or death. This perspective changes how we endure trials. Instead of viewing pain as meaningless, we begin to see it as light and momentary compared to the glory that awaits us, as the Apostle Paul wrote. It also helps us to live with a deeper sense of purpose, knowing that the way we respond to hardship has eternal significance. Our trials can refine our faith, strengthen our witness, and prepare us for the joy to come. This eternal outlook brings peace in the present because we know that suffering is temporary, and that God is working all things together for the good of those who love Him. Even when answers are unclear and the road is hard, this hope sustains us, reminding us that the story ends in victory for those who belong to Christ. Pain, in this way, becomes not just a burden to bear, but a reminder of the glorious future God has promised, a future that will make every present struggle worth enduring.